Hey folks, Gway. So today I caught a clip of a clip from a Joe Rogan podcast, and in it he was talking about manly men and masculinity and how men need to be more masculine. Men, he quoted Jordan Peterson, I believe, when he said men need to be monsters, right? Hyper competitive and have that killer instinct and to be willing to grab on to the opportunities that are in front of them and to be strong. And there's lots I could say just about his clip. There's lots of things that I'd love to react to about his clip, but it was this, what he's saying is being echoed right now in the church by many people, men and women. Many Christian leaders are talking about how men need to be more masculine. Men need to be more domineering and more powerful. Men need to be stronger and men need to work out more, and men need to eat more raw red meat, and men need to grow big beards. God, I hope I had nothing to do with that trend. There's this sense within, from some corners of the church, that men aren't manly enough, that we're not masculine enough, that we're not ultimately strong enough. That's what I thought I'd talk about today, is strength. What does it mean to be a strong Christian man and woman? What does it mean to be a manly Christian man? It has nothing to do with our muscles. It has nothing to do with how we can take a punch or throw a punch. It has nothing to do with our ability to rip things or people limb from limb. It has nothing to do with our ability to dominate others, to control others, to exert authority over others, to make others live their lives the way we believe they should be living their lives. None of that. It has nothing to do with how many push-ups we can do or how much we bench press. It has nothing to do with how often we don't skip leg day. Everything to do with faith. For a Christian, it has everything to do with the power and the strength of our faith. Our strength as Christians is directly proportional to the strength, the depth, the width, the breadth of our faith. Our strength as Christians is directly proportional to how much we trust God. Nothing else. Doesn't matter how tall you are. Doesn't matter how masculine you are. Doesn't matter how deep your voice is. Doesn't matter how many scars you have. How many times you've broken your bones. Everything to do with how much you trust God. See, Jesus, when he was accused and standing in front of the Sanhedrin, he didn't act like we might expect an action hero in a movie to act. He didn't lash out. He didn't throw a couple of grenades. He didn't whip out a hidden Uzi. He didn't do anything like that. He didn't strike back. When they slapped him, when they punched him, when they spit on him, he did not even try to defend himself, let alone punch them back. When they lied about him, when they called him names and called him down, when they defamed him, he didn't strike back. He didn't seek revenge. Again, he didn't even really try to defend himself. When he stood in front of Pilate and was literally being sentenced to death, he did not lash out. He did not seek to escape. He didn't do any of those things. He didn't do any of the things we might expect, again, from the movies we watch, where some big, strong, tall, strapping man who, consumes 4,000 calories a day and can bench a small automobile might do in those movies. There were no explosions. There was no blood except his own. And yet Jesus is the epitome of a man. He's the epitome of what it means to be a strong person. He's what we're supposed to try to emulate. Always. This idea that we're hearing from the church saying, from some corners of the church saying, manly men doing manly things in manly ways, we have to ignore it. We have to, by ignore it, I mean we have to just close our ears to it because it's nonsense. It's not Christianity that they're talking about. It's Western sensationalism. This is what a hero looks like. No. Not for the Christian. For the Christian, a hero looks like a guy who did not strike back. It looks like a guy who allowed himself to be crucified. Our strength as Christians is found in our faith, in our ability to trust in God's plan. It's not found in our arms. It's not found in our chest. It's not found in the strength of our legs. It's not a matter of how fast we can run or how many trees we can chop down in an hour. It's found in how we take care of people around us. It's found in how we choose to live the life that Jesus calls us to live because we trust that what Jesus said was true and that we trust that this is the path that God asks us to walk. You know, Rogan said something that hard times produce hard men, and hard men produce soft times, and soft times produce soft men, and soft men produce hard times, and hard times produce hard men. For him, the solution, and the solution that, again, we hear from these corners of the church is that men need to be hard all the time. And that, to me, sounds just absolutely exhausting. If I'm walking through this life trusting what God says to me in the gospel, trusting the power of the gospel, then I can let go of the nonsense that says I must be like steel. And I can embrace the example that Jesus offers, which is one of vulnerability and mercy and love. It's one of compassion and one of charity and sacrifice, of self-sacrifice. If I can let go of the need to be like steel, then I can allow myself to be kind and generous. I can allow myself to let go of my expectations of how others will behave. And the more I practice my faith and the closer I grow to God through this example that Jesus offers us, the more I'm able to look weak in the eyes of the world. There's a great song, and I can't remember the name of the band, and I can't remember the name of the song, but I'm going to try to find a link to it later on today. There's a great song, and one of the lines is, "Don't mistake kindness for weakness." Our strength as Christians, our strength as people of love, it's found in how we love. It's found in how deeply we love. It's found in the extravagance of our love. It's not found in how we dominate the people around us. It's not found in how we seek out and destroy the betas amongst us. It's not a matter of how alpha we appear to be. These are human constructs, and Jesus calls us to something greater. May the Lord bless you, may the Lord keep you, may the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that you and I are strong enough to be vulnerable. I pray that you and I are strong enough to be willing to appear weak. I pray that you and I are strong enough that we would be willing to give of ourselves to all those around us. That we would be strong enough to let go of these silly constructs of what it means to be a manly man or a womanly woman. Amen. Numultus.